Hi class, this is Tommy Dennis, Course Director of Directing for the DCS program. And I just wanted to welcome you to the class. And I want to dive right in because we only have 1 week to start talking about our pitches and what you want to do for the final project in this class. And remember, the final project in this class will follow you until the end of PMA 5. So we're going to be working on this all the way through PMA 5, which I'll be teaching you in PMA 5 also. But let's just dive in and get right to it. What does narrative mean? Because that's your final project, is a narrative project. So I simplified it. Narrative means it's any connected events presented to a reader, listener, or viewer, that could be us as an audience, and a sequence of written, spoken words, or in a sequential order of moving pictures. That's us. Most films are shot this way. Most films are not shot from beginning to end. Usually we could shoot the end first, we can shoot the middle at the beginning. It all depends on logistics, availability of actors, availability of locations, which you're going to have to shoot with actors and locations during this month. So be prepared for that. We shoot in the continuity style, which we went over that. We manipulate time and space to visually tell a story that makes linear sense to an audience. And it's shot out of order, but we end up editing it later. Now this is key because editing is a big part, and any good editor or any good director understands editing, because at the time you're shooting your shots, you have to make sure that they fit within the overall puzzle of your movie. Now we're going to talk about the 3-act paradigm when it comes to character analysis and also the technical sides of filmmaking. So this won't be the first time you hear of the 3-act paradigm, but I just want to lay the foundation to you for what it is. Again, start thinking of editing. That's why we write our shots down. That's why we do storyboards, to make sure that every end meets, every piece fits together. Because every shot needs to fit together into a sequence, and every sequence needs to fit together into a plot point, and every plot point becomes part of one of the paradigms. So keep that in mind. That's kind of the hierarchy of constructing a film. So the 3-act paradigm, let's get into this. Basically, Act 1 introduces the characters. You got to remember that introducing a character is so important, because we can learn a lot about a character just by the way they live, by what their house looks like, by how they're sleeping, how they just live every day. You can show somebody's house without even showing them and see what's on the walls, see the art direction, see the paintings, see whatever, do they have cats? Are they a dog person? Are they a cat person? Is there food laying around? Is there beer all over the place? It says so much. So you got to understand your characters to be able to start implementing these parts of the 3-act paradigm. We'll get into that also later. Where and when the story takes place. This is geographically and as far as an epoch or a fixed point in time. This can be done with clocks, with calendars, with the lighting coming through the windows, the lighting that's not coming through the windows. It can be anything. It can be they walk in with snow boots on and a big jacket on, and there's snow on. We know they're probably up north somewhere. They come in with flip-flops, sunglasses on, and it's bright, and the brightness is coming through the window. We probably know they're probably down south by the beach. So always keep this in mind. This is all basically we can just say that this is exterior things that can make the audience understand the interior of a character. The next thing in Act 1 we need to show is the incident or dilemma that forces the protagonist to take action. And we have to do this quick, because in a feature film, this can all happen in 15 to 20 minutes. Well, in your film, it has to happen in the first minute or the first 30 seconds because we're shooting a 2 to 5 minute film. So that's why you have to be quicker about it, which I think it's harder to do, but I think in the end it's a better learning tool. Act 2 is when now we see the obstacles and we see the protagonist. Um, we already seen the protagonist, but now we're starting to feel who the antagonist is. And the antagonist is out there to put obstacles in front of the protagonist so they can't get what they want. Well, that's right there in a nutshell. It is basically creating conflict. And we need conflict in every story. If there's no conflict, it's just a flat note. So we need to have peaks and valleys, almost like a roller coaster, where sometimes we think that the protagonist won't be able to move the obstacle, but then they do. And how they do it? Do they jump over it? Do they dig under it? Do they go around it? And that's just metaphorically speaking. An obstacle can be anything. And the antagonist is stopping the protagonist from what they want also. So we have all these things going against our protagonist, and pretty much at the end, the protagonist usually takes action, battles and gets what they want, and there's a resolution. Does the protagonist succeed or fail? Sometimes they fail, but they learn a huge lesson along the way. So did they really fail? You see that a lot in indie films. So, I just want to quickly show you this so you're not in the dark about it, and now it's kind of out there in the open, and so you can do your pitch to me in the first week that you're going to do for the rest of your time in directing class, and then the final project you in directing is going to follow you all the way up until PMA 5 towards the end of that, where we put it all together. So keep that in mind, and I will be teaching you in PMA 5 too. So I already know you, and I know your coverage, and I know your story. So it'll be fun to see in PMA 5 too. Also, I just put this together. This is very simple. Let's do the 3-act or the story simplified. A boy meets a girl, or a girl meets a boy. Boy loses girl, boy gets girl back. That's a simple story that we see all the time. Now, but at the same time, at the end of it, we got to put a twist that nobody else has seen, and that's what's going to make you stand out from the rest. And I really believe in that. We got to have something that gives a wow factor or an ah moment at the end when the audience says, I did not see that coming. I feel like I got my money's worth here. I wanted to feel surprised like that, and I got it. And we know movies, like Fight Club, Sixth Sense, movies like that did that to us. Take The Graduate, for example. Even if you haven't seen it, it's the basic concepts. The boy meets girl. The twist is the boy loses the girl because he's sleeping with her mom. He ends up getting the girl back, but how he does it is the twist. So let's keep that in mind, and I hope this helps you, and I hope this gets you to the next assignment. So now you can start pre-visualizing and thinking about that story you've always wanted to tell. And sometimes the greatest stories in the world are the most simplest. They're the most simplest stories, but again, with a really, really cool twist at the end that none of us seen coming. Well, I hope this has helped you out, and I can't wait to talk to you next. And we got many more podcasts coming up, so make sure to listen to the podcast. There's a lot of information. Welcome to directing, and I look so forward to talking with you and working with you this month. Thanks.